All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the pre-market show. Hope everyone is having an amazing morning. Hope you had even a better day yesterday trading. Let's get this Wednesday, July 24th on the road. Today, Norm will not be joining us. His little one has a fever this morning, so wish him all the best in getting his little one better. So let's get started. We had a nice little watch list yesterday. We had quite a bit here. Actually, this is not my final list. I have to take some stuff out of here. But this was the list that some of the stocks we were watching. We had some possibles as well. And we'll go through what some of the top plays and highlights were for yesterday. Over here, we have our gappers list. We're going to go through that as well. Quite a bit today. So very active this morning. Usually we're not getting as much the kickoff of the show at 8:30 Eastern time. So we'll see what we can get out of that. And then we'll go over NASDAQ active, NASDAQ gainers. And then we'll go to see what you guys have on both chats. Check out some of the stocks that you guys are watching. So let's kick it off. Let's see some of the stuff we had yesterday. So KO was in play yesterday, very active. It had this beautiful pop here and actually traded very, very well. Usually this stock doesn't trade as clean, but yesterday you can tell here when you have some news, when you have some earnings. Good morning, Peter. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Carlos. I am fantastic. Thanks for asking. And you?
I am great. Excellent. Excellent. So Peter will be joining us. As I mentioned, Norm will not be in today. Probably won't be trading with the little one sick. All right, so let's get into it, guys. Big day yesterday for KO. As you can see here, let's get into the action in the intraday. So again, beautiful pre-market action for the type of stock this is. Some good volume. And then right at the open, you get this profit taking that happens here, right? You have this open here, pops up, comes right back down. And it bounces right from this level we had here. It's probably very close to the high of the pre-market at one point here. You can see some hesitation happening here. Bounces right from here, and then it creates a really nice engulfing pattern. We talked about this on class 4 last night. Thank you for those that joined. And here we have an engulfing pattern where it takes over the previous candle, and then it takes off nicely for a big pop here towards the top. This is at all-time high, I believe. So again, it just kept continuing. Yeah, this is the one that was all-time high. So several stocks are an all-time high, so just don't want to confuse them. But I believe this was one of them as well. And you can see here that was that correct, Peter?
Yeah, it was. Absolutely.
Yep. All right, thank you for confirming. So then you can see here, it just went up nicely. And Andrew took a trade on this one here, and it turned out really nicely. Then he left. He was very patient. He left the order out for 54. And you can see how it comes up, hits 54, and then does another pop over to like 54.12 or so right in this area. So again, very nice stock, traded very well, very clean. Let's look at Beyond the Meat. Beyond the Meat also had a good pre-market start. As you can see here, had a nice pop. So again, just been very, very active. But then this is the type of stuff that I'm talking about, BYND. Look at this open. Just very choppy, really all over the place. Sells up. You got another pop here. This could have been a good open range breakout, but I just don't trust this stock and the way it trades. And you can see the next candles, the reason why. Look at this drop here, going right almost from the high of the day to the low of the day at that time. Again, just very whippy. Then more choppiness here. Finally hits. I'm not sure if this is a new all-time high or not, but it hits 208 here, and then it just starts selling down nicely. But the problem with this one, there's not a lot of shorts available since it's a recent IPO, although it has a lot of movements and a lot of activity. It is a recent IPO going back only 2 months, 3 months or so, right? So yeah, so this is the new all-time high that it made yesterday, as you can see here, and then from there sold off for the rest of the morning. Next we have Snap. Snap right off the gate was very active as well. Let's get the 1 minute also in here for Snap. 1 second. So here we have the 23rd right in here. I got to get my open marker here. It's not showing. So here it is on the 1 minute chart, the open. So at the open, again, very strong, guys. Just really took off nicely here with a lot of volume. Not right off the start. The first two candles didn't do much. Then here it just took off nicely, giving you a nice opening range breakup. The only reason this was not a great opening range breakup is because of this pullback, right? Usually when you have such a big pullback this week here, that's a lot of selling pressure. I'm very hesitant to take this long, expecting it to go for another leg like it did here. It did that, and it turned out to be great, but again, not an easy trade to take, especially when you're so extended from the VWAP here. ACAD was great. This was one that we traded yesterday. Yeah, this is one that we traded yesterday. This was very clean actually. After this choppiness, so I got in short around this area here when it's losing the VWAP. So again, very choppy within this area. Then once it loses VWAP, it heads all the way down towards the low of the day. I took some profits out as it was hitting these levels, and definitely got out way too early. I thought it was going to bounce back from here. It didn't. It broke this down. Continued to hit this level now that was previous resistant support, now became resistance, and then it drops down all the way to 2176, bouncing back one more time from this level and heading right back down. So definitely a nice trade. I know some of you in the chat room were in this trade as well. A lot of you took it short and were waiting for this crack to happen. I remember in this area, it just kept hesitating. At one point, I thought it was going to bounce from this 2248. Not sure what level that was. Can't remember at the moment. But we had this 2248 here, and I thought it was going to bounce from there. But we were patient, and we got a nice little drop here on ACADA. Nvidia was one that I believe Norm got a beautiful trade on this one yesterday. Let's get the 1 minute. Why the 1 minute keeps changing on me? Here we go. All right, there we go. So Norm, again, a beautiful opening range breakup here. Here's your opening range. Get in here for the 5 minute opening range breakup, and then shoots up nicely. And then the one is also very clean. When Nvidia is in play, it can be very clean. Look at this 1 minute, how it's just trending up nicely. A very, very good clean candles all the way to the top here before it starts reversing and heading back down to VWAP. Then loses VWAP very nicely here. There's another trade you can take here, the loss of VWAP. Heads down all the way almost past the low of the day and over to some levels we had some previous days highs and lows. Bounces from here and then heads back almost towards the high of the day. Doesn't quite get there, but that's a very nice good move of a VWAP reversal back towards the VWAP. HIS, I didn't have this one on watch. I actually took this one off, so I'm not sure how the price action was, but here it looks like it wasn't as clean and not as much volume, just looking at it after the fact. But again, I'm not sure how the price action was, as this one I did take off my watch list. CHMA, I was watching this one. This one was, again, this pop, if you guys were watching, this pop came out of nowhere. It was very difficult to catch that pop. So this thing sold up, sold down. I was looking forward to taking this as a short, as I did have shorts available, but something made me not take the trade for opening range breakdown. So I'm not sure what was it, but I just wasn't comfortable with it. And then out of nowhere, guys, look at this 1 minute candle here. You get this pop. It goes from $7 all the way up to $9 almost instantly. So this was, it literally opened up here, popped up here, and then here. That's the way that went down. And again, you can't catch a trade like that, right? You don't want to chase it, because what happens is when you get those pops, and then it can also pop right back down as well. You don't want to get into a trade and then find out you're already down about $2.50 on just one single movement, right? Then from there, it's kind of sold off. But after it did this, I was not interested in this stock no more. Because after this, anything can happen. Again, just with all this volume that it was trading. Look at this volume here on this. Just this is a 1 minute candle, almost 800,000 shares traded. After that, I was like, okay, this is a little bit out of my league. I stayed away from it. KPTI we had on our list, also one that we did have shares for sure. You can see here, sells down, sells back up, and then right back down. This could have been a good entry for sure for the break of the range of the 5 minute. And then you can see it heads down nicely. Then after that, it just becomes really choppy, not really tradable in this area here. Just not a good, no good patterns being formed here, no good high and lows, no good candles to take for any direction. MU we have here. MU did a nice, almost an engulfing pattern. Didn't quite get to it, but it was a very nice reversal signal here. And Andrew, I don't know if he took it, but he did call this for a possible long. But again, you can see here it drops down, finds a level on the way back up. Andrew was mentioning that, you know, MU looks like a long here, and then you get this pullback here, and then heads right back up, cracking the high of the day at that time, and then heading towards this level we had here, which is some level at the pre-market. It was not the pre-market high, but you can see here you have a level right at the pre-market around this 47.15. AMD here. AMD, as usual, guys, just again, that first 30 minutes sometimes can be very nasty. And you can see here this thing opened up very choppy. It didn't go into a nice run after that first 30 minutes, hour, right? It kept being choppy for the entire day. It did have a loss of VWAP here, which you could have caught, but again, this is not really too clean, and you have too many moving averages towards the bottom as well. And after seeing this type of action, you really probably want to just stay away from it. It does find a nice bottom here. Look at how this moving average is so strong here. So you have this moving average coming all the way down in here. You get this bounce right back to VWAP. Breaks out of VWAP, almost looks like a false VWAP breakout, but on the way back down, bounces from this moving average one more time and heads back up. So you could have played these bounces here, expecting that the same thing would have happened here, as this level was this moving average was very strong. But again, just not really clean on AMD yesterday. All right, guys. So that is what we have. Lee, that's the after hours yesterday. I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Maybe I missed something there. But let's look at what we have for today. Snap. Let's look at Snap. Hold on a second. Snap I had yesterday. Snap is actually up 10% today. Wow, this is crazy. Look at Snap today, up 10%, 1.7 million shares traded. So we will take a look at that. But first, let's get into some news, Peter. What do we have today? What's going on in the markets? What can we expect for the rest half of this week?
Yeah, well, global markets are a mixed bag this morning. Asia Pacific markets are sort of mixed, with Japan leading the way with the Nikkei up about 0.4%. Asia Pacific is, largely flat with a little bit of variations. Again, Shanghai seems to be the highest. So I look at the futures, and global futures are generally down, which matches what we're seeing currently in the SPY. It's down off the close, which was just at the 300 mark. So if you follow the SPY, that's a significant level we've been watching for a while. So I expect the SPY to get to and through that again today. In fact, pre-market, it's spiked up to it once anyways, around 8 o'clock. So we'll see what happens. In terms of market news, I am not aware of any key Fed announcements that should impact our trading today. But that being said, you never know. Yesterday was a great example of just never knowing. Around, what time was it yesterday, guys? Around 12:30 or something. There was some news about the trade talks and the U.S. team going to 1:30, I guess it was, going to China to do face-to-face talks, and the market just spiked up. So, just be aware that, especially these days, any news and the market can jump. The summer is especially volatile because you just have less volume to absorb those changes. So we'll keep our eyes peeled on the news, and we'll follow the stocks that are in play that we'll get to in just a sec.
All right, excellent, guys. So let's go over our gappers list. We have quite a bit here, so that's good. We got some movements in the markets today. Let's start with Snap, since I already have it on here. So Snap is up nicely today, up 10.6. Let's get our 1 minute to get in line here. So up 10.6 this morning, 1.7 million shares traded. Had a nice bounce yesterday here, as you can see. Kind of found a level at 14. 14's been a good support from prior being resistance at this level. You can see here you have several days bouncing from here right back up almost to 16, right back to 14, and then now we have a beautiful pop here. What's causing this bounce today? Is Snap on earnings or any kind of news at the moment?
Yeah, it's definitely earnings. Yeah, yesterday there was a couple of upgrades, so somebody knew something, but Snap not only beat them, but they sort of crushed the estimates from the street. So, Snap, which is not normally a big moving stock, to be up $1.60 or 10% is pretty significant. So, I don't know what to expect of it during the day. Yesterday was actually just a wonderful. I didn't trade it, unfortunately, but it was a great trending day. And basically, if you'd gone long, sort of when it pulled through VWAP around 11 o'clock, you could have easily held to the close, and it just kept moving. So we'll see what Snap brings today.
Excellent. So here what we have, guys, again, pre-market action, as we expect, not looking great for this stock at all. It has a lot of volume, 1.7, but this pre-market activity is not looking great. But we know Snap can tend to be very choppy. With the last couple of days, we have some really good candles. So this is normally what Snap looks like. The last couple of days, we've seen some nice movement here. Again, doesn't move a lot. We're going from $14 to $14.93 here, so not great movement for the entire day. You really have to be able to catch, a couple of cents. You're not going to get, 50, 60 cents on a stock like this one. It just doesn't move that way. But today with such a big pop here, we can expect this to be in play. Hopefully this pre-market action can get better, or hopefully the open can give us a good possible entry for any type of strategy. Let's go over to the top, ITCI. ITCI here is up 12%. But it's not really doing anything great. 160,000 shares traded on the daily here. We have looked at this at the past. I'm assuming when it had this drop down here, so it's down. Actually, no, sorry, it's up. It had a really bad day yesterday. I keep saying it's down because it's just this bad day here. I'm like, where is it up? It's still really down, but it's up 12% from this bounce here. It came down to $8 yesterday. See what it did yesterday. What caused this massive drop? Wow, look at this, guy. So this happened. Is this after hours? No, this is around 1 o'clock or so, 2 o'clock here. Look at this drop just out of nowhere. Any news causing this? Something must have broke out here yesterday for it to drop from $12 all the way down to 8.55 in a matter of what we're looking at, 1, 2, 3, a matter of 20 minutes here. So that's a nice big drop.
Yeah, they're really reacting some news. So they've got, like any one of these biotech companies, they're really sort of dependent upon their drugs and the drug trials. They've got I don't know. It's a biotech. I'm not sure if it's actually a drug or a treatment.
Okay.
Anyways, it was supposed to be reviewed by the FDA, so that got people concerned that if the FDA wanted to set up a meeting to review it, that there were some issues. But they announced, I think it was after the close yesterday, that the FDA has canceled the meeting, said there was no need to have it, which is, I think, what has led to this pop. So, I don't know whether that's really sustainable because it's not really huge news. It's sort of like the cancellation of previous bad news.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Definitely interesting, guys. Pre-market action does not look great at all. It's just very, very slow. It does have over 100,000 shares traded, but again, we're not getting a nice pre-market activity at this point. But this drop is very interesting. Clearly, we lost this support that we had here around 10 or so, maybe a little high, maybe 10.50. Yesterday with this big drop, so we could get some kind of continuation today. We'll keep it on here and see what can develop as we get closer to the market open. Right now, just looking at this alone here without the daily chart, this is definitely not a stock that I will be considering, but that drop yesterday is very exciting to see what we can get out of that. It's a 46 million shares flow, so it is tradable. It is a pharmaceutical company, and we do have stocks for shares for short. It is on short selling restriction, obviously, with such a big drop yesterday, so that can make it just a slightly difficult to get in for a possible short. TXN is up 5.9, 202,000 shares traded so far. We have a very nice big pop here. You can see on the daily, 120 was an area of resistance for a couple of days here at 120, then also here going back to April and May. So today we're gapping up quite a bit. Pre-market activity also not looking very exciting, guys. This doesn't look clean at all, but I do like this pop off the daily. We do have shares for short as well. And if I'm going here, what is the float on this one? TXN is 937 million shares flow with an ATR of 1.7. So not really a great ATR, but today is definitely in play. What's the news on TXN?
So I would have thought that this is Texas Instruments, and I thought their best days were behind them back in the 80s and 90s when every kid had a Texas Instruments calculator on their desk. But,
yes,
they've made the transition from a products company to semiconductors, and they are actually at all-time highs. This pop this morning has brought them over all-time highs. In fact, yesterday's close was the all-time high at the time, and now we're above that. So that makes it interesting. It is a NASDAQ stock, but it trades just like a NYSE stock. So we have to be careful of that. It like you said, Carlos, it doesn't typically move a lot, but on a day like today with positive earnings news, they beat their estimates handily. It could get the market excited, and we could see some further movement in TXN.
All right, so we'll definitely keep this on here. Again, pre-market action not looking great, similar to ITCI. Again, not looking great, but we'll see hopefully if we can get something out of these. BYND, Beyond the Meat, is on here, up 3.8, 242,000 shares traded. As you know, this stock has been on fire. Hit the high a couple of weeks ago, mid-June here, the all-time high, and now we're kind of slowly grind up higher, heading back towards these levels. Again, one stock that trades very, very erratic, so you have to be very careful because the movements are very fast and aggressive. Today we're kind of popping back up a bit here. So we do have a decent pre-market activity for the way this stock trades. Again, the ATR is very high. I think it's probably up at $7 now. The last time we checked, yep, 7.59. right here. So again, just be very careful. It is a 38 million shares flow, and this is why it moves the way it does. So be very careful with this one. But it is in play today. Might want to head back up and test this 208.60 area where it's the high of all time. Next we have AMRN. Let's go back up. AMRN. Here we go. AMRN, we traded before in the past several times. It has given us some good moves. Here we're up 3%, 124,000 shares traded. What I like about the daily here is that we have an area of a big support around 18. So this support has been on here holding for the last 3 days. You can see here it's been the seller's been trying to push this down based on the candles I'm seeing here, and are just not able to get under 18. The minute they do get under 18, we bounce right back up. So that's a good indication that this thing might be going up the other way. But we do have some moving averages up here as well, and it's really got to break out of this high that is at right now. Actually, this 1860, 1866. If it can break out of that, it can be even nicer. Let's look into the pre-market activity. Pre-market activity is just not looking great at all, guys. Just very nasty. But I do like the way the daily's setting up from this bounce here. I assume we don't have no news on this one, Peter. This is just movement on its own, or do we have anything?
Yeah, I don't have any news on it, so I think you're right. It's just
probably technicals, it looks like. So AMRN might be worth taking a look at today. We'll keep it on here. Then we have some nice levels we can get to here. Also a nice big gap. I don't think we'll move that much, but again, just the fact that it's holding this great support here could be interesting for the way it trades today. CAT is down 4.5. This one doesn't trade as clean, but today looks like we definitely have something going on. Nice big drop this morning, starting the pre-market at 7:30. Not the cleanest pre-market action, but this is normal for CAT. We tend to have this pre-market activity and the pre-market hours, and then you can still get a clean move if it's going to be in play today, and it looks like with this drop that it is. What's the latest and greatest on CAT?
So again, another earnings play here. They in their case, they actually missed their estimates, so that's bringing them down a little bit this morning.
Okay, got it. So so this will be interesting, guys. We're hitting right at a moving average right in this area here. I think that might be the 200 maybe. Yeah, so that's going to be a big one to crack or leave here. So we'll check out to see how that develops. Next we have SGEN. SGEN is down 8.5. So only 2 stocks in our gappers down this morning. Everything else is green. So let's see what's going on here. So SGEN down 8.5. It's got some good volume, 360,000 shares traded. Looking at the pre-market activity, doesn't look great from here to here when it opened up, right? Pretty nasty here, but now here's starting to get a little better. So let's hope that this momentum continues, creates a real nice flow here. So I like the way this is setting up. I like the volume is showing up here, so that's good. Also after 8:15, you can see the difference in movements between here and here, very clear. So starting to build up some good pre-market activity here. Let's look at the daily. Daily looks a little funky, and the reason I say that is because you got several candles that have a lot of wicks and less bodies, and look just how the flow of this this chart is just not great. Also you have several red candles on here. Just again, just not looking too clean as we've seen some other daily charts look. Very interesting here. You have a nice pop. It consolidates around this area 75 or so, and then today we have a beautiful drop of 8.4 with some volume. What's causing this movement today?
This is a secondary offering, so they've issued additional shares at $70 a share. So that's usually dilutive to the price. So we could see a little movement. I don't expect this to be very exciting during the day, but you never know.
Yeah, no. When you have that type of news, usually not exciting. I have seen some of you guys trade it very well on these type of offerings or whatever the case may be, but I haven't had any luck on these type of news breakouts. So we'll see. We'll come back to. We'll keep it on here. That is what we have from our gappers list. Let's go over to our Nasdaq active, Nasdaq gainers. TRNX, we know it's a penny stock. VISL, what did it do yesterday? Yesterday started making some noise with some volume, and just look, guys, it didn't really do much. So I expect the same thing today. OBLN, penny stock, not tradable. SGEN, we also have on our list already. Next we have the TVIX volatility index. At the moment just pretty much flat, because I think the SPY is flat as well, right? If we remember, yep, SPY is not doing much neither. SLS, also another penny stock that pops up here are as well very often, not tradable. Eric is Ericsson. So this one we traded actually when it had this drop here. Give us a good breakdown on this day here. Let's see what's going on. What's it popping up today? So it's down 1.7, 311,000 shares traded. The daily chart looks short. I'm short bias on this. Looks like it might want to come back down and test these lows. But here's the issue we have, right? It doesn't move a lot, right? You got two levels on here. You got A72. This is A63 and A50, right? So it just doesn't have a high ATR, and looks like we have probably some block trades. Again, not really tradable this morning. Not a lot of activity going on Ericsson. AMD starting to get a little active here. AMD is worth watching as usual, as AMMU as well. Right now the daily is again just seems to be grinding higher, like it wants to hit up this 35. So again, worth taking a look at AMD. Starting to get going now. I can see some activity as the morning develops. Let's take a look at MU now that we're in the conversations of our buddies. MU also just kind of pretty much very flat, just consolidating around this 47 range. Again, also looks bullish, like it wants to break out up to this 47.50, so worth taking a look at that as well. Next, we have NASDAQ ETFs, kind of what the QQQs are doing, pretty much what the market is up to. BYND, again, we have this one. This one looks like it wants to test this 208. The way it's setting up nicely now. Next, we have JNCE. JNCE, not much activity going on here, so not really tradable, guys. We'll skip this one. VISL, we looked at. This is the same one from here. Again, penny stocks. TERL. 87,000 shares traded on this one. Not a great pre-market activity, guys. This is not clean, but it is up 13%. So let's look at the daily and see what is causing this movement today. This is a nice big pop, up 13%. Let's check the float. We are looking at 170 million shares float. So we do have a nice pop. Not a great pre-market activity, but this is quite a pop here in TERL. Peter, do you have any significant news on this one today?
I haven't looked that up. TER. Let's take a peek. So it looks like it's earnings. So and they beat their earnings quite well and have a strong outlook for the next quarter. So that must be what's driving it.
All right. So again, could be interesting, guys, if this can get some volume. But right now, the pre-market activity is not looking great. It is a NASDAQ stock, so it should trade a little better, but it's not looking too exciting at the moment. I'm going to put it down here as a possible. We do have shares for sure. If it gets the volume, it can be great to trade one way or the other. We'll find our levels for it. We might not keep it, but I think with this type of daily that is setting up here and this type of pop, definitely worth taking a peek under the hood to see what happens around 9:30 Eastern time. ITCI we do have, guys, just as another one that's not looking too great in the pre-market activity. AVXL, not much going on, no volume. DMPI, this is not great. Next we have GHDX, also not looking great. On the list next is SCYX, also nothing happening there. Next, MOBL, also one that does not look great at the moment. No volume, no activity. All right, guys, let's get into what you guys have on your end. What are you guys watching this morning?
Carlos, I think from my side, the only two things that you haven't mentioned, one would be UPS. Doesn't have a good pre-market. It hasn't. I don't think it's even hit 100,000 shares yet. But they had earnings, and it is a NYSE stock, so it could go after the open. I sort of like the daily, the way it's been pulling up, and it's now right. The current price is in an area of consolidation back from February, March. So I'll keep my eye on that.
Yeah,
and Jared Paul and MJM are also mentioning UPS. The other one is maybe channeling Norm here a little bit, is NVIDIA. NVIDIA ended the day strong yesterday. Love the daily. It looks good to keep an eye on for today. So I'll be having that on my watch list.
Yeah, NVIDIA looks very, very nice. You can see here. Again, we kind of talked about this, and Norm was able to take a piece of this move yesterday. You can see here the breakout, right? We saw this uptrend coming. We got the consolidation period here, and then you can see a nice little breakout at the open heading towards the top. So daily looks very nice, guys. It broke from this resistance it had here around we're looking at 172ish or so, and now it's above this, and no moving averages up here. We do have some levels we can hit off here, so we'll see what we can get out of NVIDIA. NVIDIA looks very interesting on the daily. All right, so TNX we do have. We'll get into details on that one in a second, Paul. Thank you. Steve is giving us IRBT. IRBT is down 19.4. Now, IRBT has not a great daily chart. Look at this daily chart here. This is just pretty nasty here, right? Kind of looks very choppy on the daily, but today they're down significant, 19.2. Let's take a look at the pre-market actual activity, and activity looks good too. From here to here, from after 8 p.m., after 8 a.m., this is starting to look very interesting. So, yeah, this is worth taking a look at. Nice big drop there. Not sure if we have any significant news on this, Peter, but this is definitely one that we could watch. Let's check out the what is.
Sorry, I thought we talked about iRobot, but my mistake is it's definitely on my list as well. So yeah, they missed their estimates by quite a bit and lowered their guidance. They stated global trade concerns as an issue behind their lowered guidance. So that just plays into the fear everybody's got in the market. So I do expect some movement out of iRobot. You're right; it's one that doesn't typically move, but if you sort of look back in time on the daily, there are certain days where it just goes nuts. So if this happens to be one of those days, you want to take a look at it exactly. So you can pick the high volume days out when it sort of moves significantly. So that's why I'll keep it on my list.
Yeah, now I see there's a 2.75 million shares float. I mean, that's is that correct? That is pretty low. So you gotta be careful with this one. ATR 80 cents.
Yeah, I got 27 million float. So it does trade like a low float though to a certain degree. So you do have to be careful.
Wait, do you have 27 million or 2.7?
Well, I have 27.54 million according to FinViz. Let me check and see here what. Yeah, but you're right. TI is certainly showing. Sorry, Trade Ideas is showing 2.7.
Yeah, and probably a typo.
Check here.
All right.
There's some weird stuff going on because the DAS numbers seem to be off too. So
what is DAS showing?
Yeah, so I'm just checking here. DAS shows a float of 20. Well, see, this is where it's weird. They show the shares outstanding of 28 million, but a float of only 640,000. So those numbers seem to be off for a lot of their stocks today. So I'm not sure why there's that data issue on DAS, but I believe the float is closer to the 27, 28 million.
27. Okay. Excellent. So we'll definitely take a look at that one. That one looks interesting, down quite a bit today. And again, it doesn't move a lot, but even with these movements here, the ATR is still 2,081 cents. So it's pretty decent. It's pretty okay. So today is definitely in play. TUP. So TUP here, let's see what's going on this one. Not a lot of activity, not a lot of volume at the moment. Pre-market seems to be all over the place. Let's take a look at the daily, but the daily is interesting. I see what you guys are looking at. Nice big drop here, down 18.8. So this is worth taking a look at, but we definitely need this to get a better pre-market activity. What I do like about this one is that we do have shares for short. It is a nicey stock, so the pre-market activity probably not as great, but still 51,000 shares is not a lot for us to take a look at. So we'll keep it on here for as a possible, and then we'll come back to it. All right, let's see. WIX, Wix, not much going on right now. Now, this one doesn't look as interesting because we're not gapping up or down by much, and also we don't have a lot of volume. So we'll skip this one on here. Facebook, one of Norm's top 4. Facebook seems like it wants to lose it here. So it's starting to get some movement. Something must have broke out because this type of movement without at the pre-market without news is usually not the case. So there's probably some news out there breaking out. Something is happening with Facebook. Hitting this moving average at the moment. So let's put that on here on Facebook to take a look at. Since we're on Facebook and we looked at NVIDIA, let's look at Norm's top 4. Let's check out what Roku is doing, and then we'll get into some announcements, and then we'll go into making this list a lot smaller because we have quite a bit here. So Roku not doing much, kind of sold off yesterday. At this point, just kind of holding this 104 level. Next we have is Apple. Out of Norm's top 4, and Apple also not looking too great, but NVIDIA and Facebook on Norm's list today are looking very, very nice. All right, guys, so let's get into some announcements, and then we'll get into making this list a lot smaller. We have quite a bit here, but a lot doesn't look great, so we're gonna make sure we remove some of those questionable stocks we have on our list. Take it away, Peter.
All right, so our classes continue this week, so we've got a full slate of training. For those of you that have been able to attend the first few classes, they're good building blocks to get ready for the next classes. So we continue with what are our next classes? Sorry, classes 5 and 6, I believe, or class 5 is Thursday, so tomorrow at 9 o'clock Eastern, and then are we doing? Anyway, so class 5, I don't see class 6. On
Yeah,
risk
5.
That's an important one on risk management, anyways, that you want to absolutely pay attention to. So even if you've been to it before, it's always good to go again as a refresher. So again, that's tomorrow night, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. That'll be in our education center. Speaking of education, it is Wednesday, and it is Wednesday. I'm just
Yes.
checking. And that means that we will be having our workshop Wednesday at noon. That's also in the classroom. The topic here is dealing with challenges, frustrations, and common problems. So that's going to be an interactive workshop. I encourage all of you to join. You can actually be in this room and in the classroom at the same time. Carlos and Norm will be leading that. So hopefully Norm is up to it. If not, we'll certainly be supporting Carlos there in the room, and it'll be great interaction anyways, because we're really looking for you guys to help share your thoughts. We've given you the opportunity to do that in advance, by the way, if you want to. I think there's still time, Carlos,
Yes,
if
there
they were
is.
to email you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So email Carlos at bearbulltraders.com if you wanted to sort of put in your question, have it more anonymous than having to ask yourself. But yeah, they'll be taking sort of all questions and talking about it, because frankly, you're lying if you say you've never had any challenges in trading. We've all been through it, and even though you think you may be alone, it's amazing how common these things are. So don't ever feel lonely or that you've got to deal with this on your own. Don't be afraid to ask, guys. There's no dumb questions. So that's a great opportunity to just sort of understand that the stuff you're going through is exactly the stuff that others are going through in their trading journey. We also have tonight, we're doing a special edition of our trade reviews with William. So again, we're going to be doing a YouTube version of our trade reviews, similar to what was done last week. That's at 8 o'clock Eastern. So if you can join for that, that will be fantastic. Those trade reviews are always great. I always learn something from the way William sort of just looks and assesses the chart. It does a great job of giving you different perspectives of how to analyze the exact same chart pattern, because there is no one right way. And it's always great to sort of see what other people are thinking, because it'll only strengthen your strategies. Last but not least, sorry, I have two more things. One, Dr. Brett Steenbarger, as we've been mentioning, it's coming up quickly. Only 2 days now, this Friday on the 26th, we'll be doing that podcast interview with him. Really looking forward to that. So we're just finalizing the details, but I know he's even tweeted with us about he's excited for that himself. So really looking forward to having him talk with us. He is one of the world's foremost experts on trading psychology and trading strategies. So stay tuned and join us for that. And last but not least, our favorite topics in terms of the meetups. We love getting together. We love meeting face to face with traders and talking trading. So you don't have to be a BBT member to go. So anybody out there on YouTube, if you've got friends who are just curious or interested in trading, or frankly, if you just want to show up and get a free drink, join us on the 27th, which is, what is that, Saturday, I think, in Pasadena, California. So that's happening this weekend. And then on the 2nd of August, we'll be in Phoenix, Arizona. That'll be a special one, only because we're presenting an award for the earlier challenge we had and the Show Us Your Setup Challenge. And our winners will be there to accept their prizes, a wonderful travel laptop setup that they'll be able to use. So that's be fantastic, let alone all the usual festivities we have around the meetups. So that's the news we've got for this morning.
All right, excellent. Thank you. Let's get into this list, guys. As you can see, our gappers list just keeps getting bigger and bigger, so more stuff popping up here. Some of the ones that we did not show before are now starting to creep into here, so a lot of these, if you go through it, we already have on our list over here. So let's make this list a lot smaller. Let's start off with Snap. Let's see what Snap is up to. So again, just tons of volume, 2.5 million shares traded right now. So again, it has got a lot of activity, but the pre-market actually is not looking as clean. I do like the daily on this one, so I am going to watch it for a possible move. High of the pre-market sitting at 16,762. We have the low of the pre-market, which it looks like it's about to break now, but I'm going to mark it down either way because we do have this level here that you want to mark down, 1622. And then towards the bottom, You have this area around 1593 that's going to be a possible as well, right in this area. Again, snap doesn't move much, so you want to have levels that are pretty much in line with the way this moves and the way it trades, right? Doesn't move down from 16 fifth 20 all the way down to 1552. It's just not a move that it will is used to making. So right now selling down a bit. Looks like it could be dropping this previous day. I'm sorry, the low of the pre-market at the moment. So let's see what it does at this point, if it can hold that. ITCI pre-market activity, again, it's just not really there. It's got a little bit of volume, 182,000 shares, but the pre-market activity is just not doing anything great. I do like the daily on this one. I like that it had a nice big drop yesterday. If we get some kind of continuation today, it could be nice to watch if it pops up into any of our scanners. High of the pre-market 947. Above that, you have another level at 1013 here from this bounce of this day here. Towards the bottom, you have the low of the pre-market sitting at 875, so we'll mark that down as well. And then you have the previous day close around slightly above $8 here, and then the low of the day yesterday as well. So plenty of levels here. I'm not going to watch it, guys, because again, if you look at this pre-market activity, it's just pretty dead. There's not much going on there. TXN. This is Texas Instrument, again popping up nicely here, not moving a whole lot, but the daily chart looks very interesting. So let's find some levels for it and be prepared. Low of the pre-market sitting at 125.98, the high sitting at 128.34. Towards the bottom, if we can lose this 125.98. Do we have anything in close range? We should, or maybe not. Are we at all-time high? I don't think.
Yeah, it is.
Oh wow, I didn't think we were going to be all-time high with this, but it looks like we are. So the next level here, guys, is really 120. So this is a nice big break out of this resistance. So this makes it a little more interesting. I'm gonna keep it for now. Again, the pre-market activity not looking great, but the fact that we are at all-time high with such a strong move, would definitely worth watching this. BYND selling off a bit here from the high of the pre-market at 205.10. Looks like it's having a tough time getting above that. So selling back down quite a bit here. I'm not going to watch this one, guys, just because, again, the way it trades, I don't have shares for short, and it just trades very erratic. So I really don't like the price action when this stock opens up. Levels, you have plenty. Just mark the high of the pre-market around 205.10 exactly. Above that, you have the all-time high around 208.50 or so, and then previous day close, and then a previous day low, and several moving averages on here as well. So plenty of levels to mark down on BYND. If you're going to watch that one today, I'm going to remove it from my list. AMRN is one that we traded in the past. It trades very well when it's in play. I do like this support area that we have in here for the last 3 days. It could not break down from that, and when it did, it created a low here and came right back up above 18. So I like the way this is setting up. High of the pre-market sitting at 1865. Let's mark that down. We have a moving average also here around 19. I'm going to mark that down as well for a possible. And then you also have another moving average at 1942. I'm going to mark this one on here just because it's basically a great level. It's just right on. You can't miss that 2002. Very close to this moving average as well. Towards the bottom, you have the high from yesterday and the low from yesterday below the previous day close as well. So plenty of levels towards the bottom. Don't really need to add any more for AMRN. Now, at the moment, pre-market activity not looking too exciting, but I do like the daily on this one. The volume is hopefully starting to come in and can get a good pre-market activity out of this one. CAT 293. So volume is starting to creep up, but this day looks very, very interesting, guys. This doesn't trade very well. The few times that I traded, it's not as clean, but today with this type of drop, down 5.1, sitting at a low of the pre-market at 130.65. So we'll mark that down. Towards the bottom, if we lose this level, trying to find a good daily, we have one here on this pop, 129.56, and then you also have this one here, 128.93. So you have several levels towards the bottom. You can even go as far down as this one. Here's another great possible support sitting at 125.64. So it was support in this area here and resistance on the way back up when it was coming back up in this area here. So that's like three great levels towards the bottom if we can lose this previous the low of the pre-market. Now towards the top, you got a nice level right in here. This level has been tested several times, 132.55. You can see several days after it broke out of this resistance here in this area with this moving average, comes back up, and then it comes back down and tests this level before it takes off, right? So that's a good possible area for a level, and then you can see it comes right back down to it before it bounces back again, heading all the way back towards this high here at 140. And then above that, you really have 134. Be on the lookout for that. It's a whole dollar number, and also you have the highs and lows from the last 2 trading days, plus the previous day close all the way up here. But again, looks very short bias to me at the moment. But let's not have a bias. Let's wait to see what we get at the open. SGEN. Also a nice big drop on SEGN here. So we'll mark some levels. High of the pre-market sitting at 72.85. The low is right at a nice level, right at this moving average. It broke through 1-2, and then this one kind of held it here at a 68.89. And if you could see 68.89, you got several areas of support and resistance, right? So that 68.69 is a good level there. We got some moving averages towards the bottom. You can mark down this one 67.88 off the daily, and then towards the bottom you have a nice one here at 66.42. You have several days bouncing off this days as support, and then somewhat of resistance. This one kind of breaks out of it a little bit, but as you can see, it comes right back down and closes around the 66.42. So plenty of levels on SGEN. Again, right now has a nice drop. Volume is starting to come in, so hopefully it can continue to give us a good pre-market activity. Let's look at AMD. So we know Andrew has banned AMD from his list, at least momentarily. At the moment, it's got some good volume, 378. Not a lot for the way AMD trades, but it's very choppy right now. So I think I might remove AMD today. Let's just get some levels in case it hits our turbo breakdown scanners. We have high of the pre-market 33.70. Above that we have 34.31, and then we have 34.87. So those are some levels here for AMD. Then towards the bottom you have plenty, guys. Highs and lows from the last 2 trading days, previous day close, right next, almost close to where the low of the pre-market is. And then you have some moving averages also creeping in below the price action right now. MU starting to drop nicely here. It doesn't have a lot of volume, but which is when red to green. So it's finding some kind of resistance up here. So actually, even though this has less volume, this daily looks a lot more interesting than AMD. So I am going to, let's mark this low of the pre-market now, sitting at 46.73. And I think that's the only thing you need to mark down here, guys, because you have plenty of levels towards the top. Previous day close, high from yesterday, high from 2 days ago. Towards the bottom, you have the low from yesterday and the low from 2 days ago. And then if it can get down below that, the next possible area of support was previous resistance at 45.97. That can be an area where you can get some loss of momentum. So MU looks interesting. I'm going to take away AMD, and I'm going to keep MU this morning. TER here again has a nice beautiful pop, guys. Another one that has a great daily on a nice pop here. Not a great pre-market activity. High of the pre-market 55.48, low of the pre-market 53.12, and then we have a very clean level down here 49.70. Not sure if this is all-time high. We're gonna go back and just confirm this real quick. Maybe 52-week high. It is all-time high, it looks like. Yeah, so it's all-time high, guys, or at least 52-week high. So again, makes it a little more interesting. We do have shares for short. Not a lot of activity in this pre-market action. It looks like it's starting to get going, but hasn't really cracked up yet. So we'll see what we can get out of TERR today. IRBT, again, some issues with some data here in regards to the float. So let's do the high of the pre-market sitting at 75.90, low of the pre-market sitting at 71.66. And again, just a nice big drop here, guys, down almost 20%. Not great volume, only 165 at the moment. Just gonna go back and see if we can find some levels towards the top and the bottom. So it looks like this pre-market low is an area right in here. So I'm just gonna zoom in into here. Yeah, look how this pre-market low is reacting as a support going back to July of last year. Just want to get a level towards the bottom. Okay, right here, guys, we found one. So this is good. 67.85, guys. You have several days using it as resistance. Resistance on this nice little pop-up here. You can see the resistance happening here, and then support on the 67.85. Now, towards the top, I did see some levels in here. So towards the top, we have good consolidation happening around 83, the whole dollar mark. You can see here, you got support here on the way down, then resistance on the way up, and then you got more support on the way back down here, basically holding that 83 before we have this lift off here on that after that consolidation. So Right now, it's again pre-market activity looking so-so, but I do love how down this is today. Again, 20 almost 20%. Facebook. So Facebook got some news. I think they got fined or so, right? You guys were mentioning in the chat when they got fined $5 billion, I believe. So now that caused a drop here. So this is definitely trading well this morning. It looks short bias on this. Let's get some levels. Low of the pre-market sitting at 196.31, and then below that we got a level of consolidation right on here, 193.62. You can see several days we got resistance here, and then you got support within these days here. And then below this, you have a nice level right in here at a 187.50. You also have a moving average that's in that area, so be on the lookout for that as well. Towards the top, guys, don't need to add anymore. Just look at all these levels here, highs and lows, previous day close, all between that 205 and that 200 above your pre-market area. UPS also interesting, guys. We'll get some levels for this on here. So high of the pre-market 110.77. Towards the bottom you have this area here 107.66, and then towards the top, if we can get over that 110.70, we have a nice gap that we can close here. Look at this one here, 112.48, and I'm also going to mark down the top of this consolidation pair we had here before we drop 114.90. So plenty of levels there on UPS. Nvidia is looking great today, guys, too. Again, it has a nice daily. I'm just going to mark the high of the pre-market at the moment, 178.63. So you could be on the lookout for that. I'm not going to watch this one today, but the daily does look interesting. I'm sure Norm is going to be watching this one today as well. UPS we have already, and TUP. I'm going to mark some levels, but I'm probably not going to watch this one. 14.05, low of the pre-market, 14.03. We have a nice drop here on it today. You know what? I am not going to look at this one. Just look at the pre-market activity. Just not a lot of volume, guys, and we have way too many today. All right, so let's do a recap real quick. We're running a little short on time here. So Snap, I'm going to watch. TNX, I'll watch this one. AMRN, let's look here. AMRN is interesting. CAT, yes, I'm going to remove CAT from this list. SGEN, that's a possible. MU, you know, as much as I like MU, I'm going to remove this one today. TER, this is interesting. Not great activity, but I like the pop here. IRBT is worth taking a look at. And then Facebook, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, way too many. I like UPS better than Facebook, really, so I'm just going to take out UPS. I'm sorry, Facebook. And then here I'm going to see what else everybody else is watching and then make a final decision. I might take Snap off just because I don't have shares for sure and just the way it trades. But today's definitely looks very active. TNXP's got to get some volume going here. Just kind of chopping around between this high and low of the pre-market. AMRN is interesting on the daily if we get a possible bounce. SGEN. I like the drop on SGEN, and we do have shares for short, so this is worth taking a look at. So yeah, so this will be my watch list, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on YouTube. We will see you guys tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern time. Take care, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Just a reminder, or just be aware, the Mueller testimony is happening right now, so I don't know what effect that's going to have at the open, but just be careful. It could be sort of extra volatile with the uncertainty around that testimony and whether it creates a reaction from the White House. So we'll see what happens at the open, which is just 7 minutes away. Thanks, guys.